All right, folks, what's up? It is just before 5:30 on Sunday, May the 28th, 2020, and here we are in our weekly recap. So we're going to do a couple of things today. First, we're going to take a look at all the trades we made this past week. As you can see, not many, only 5 trades actually filled this week. And then we're going to pay most attention to our opening trades. You can see that we closed a GDX and a GLD for profit, but really we want to spend most of our time looking at the actually all verticals that we got in. We actually didn't get into any iron condors this week, which is a little bit of a rare week for us. But you know, it's what the market gave us, and you know, let's just begin. So let's go into XRT. We put this trade on the 26th. So I'm gonna go ahead and go straight to our charts here, and into XRT. So let's take a look at XRT, because this is really going to show us why we got into the trade, the rationale for what we're doing, and really just the ability to kind of chat through why we put on a vertical in XRT other than our normal iron condors. Okay, so again, we put this trade on May the 26th, and this is why. So let's maximize the sell here. Okay, so we go here, of course we go all the way to the 26th, and let's talk about what we were seeing. So as you can see here, okay, on this trade, and actually the better trade would have been the very next day on the 27th. So we were one day early here in this trade. What did we see? We saw overbought on the RSI 2 right here. We saw almost overbought on RSI 14. Saw weakness here. And then we also saw our fractal energy scan showing us that the move was likely done. Okay, this move from 34, right, which is insane, all the way to, at that point, 41 basically. We knew that there was going to be a pretty big move, and how did we know that? Because our fractal energy was off the charts, right? So our fractal energy here tells us that we need to expect a move, right? Fractal energy is built up, expect a move, don't know which way, boom, to the upside. Okay, so that's what we saw, but now we're seeing the opposite, right? Our fractal energy has went down. So now we are at the point where we are getting ready to see whether or not it's a retraction or just the speed with which the current move isn't going to happen. It's what we're seeing. So looking here, went ahead and put on this position. So what exactly did we put on? We put on this July 45.46 call. So let's go to our trade tab. July. This is GDX. Let's go to XRT. $4.50 move, basically $4 move. So we're right there at the expected move here. The reason we went with the vertical, right, is because our chart pattern, our scan told us that's likely what we needed to do, and that the move was a little bit overdone. Okay, so let's go to XHB. It's another one that we put on. We can go back to our trading strategy. What day did we put that on? We'll go back on the 27th. So we go to XHB, and we've actually got quite a lot happening in XHB, but let's just go here, and what do we see on the 27th, which is this candle. On the 27th, right, you can see overbought on the RSI 2. Fractal energy scan tells us we're done. RSI 14 also overbought. Right, so we see that this pattern happens again. So we go to our... We went all the way out to September. Let's just go to XHB, September. Got a lot happening in September. But we see this 51, 52, nope, 51, 53 position right here. 51, 53 position. $7 expected move. At the time, we are chilling all the way up here at 43. So a $7 move is $51. Right, so that's why we put this particular position on. Now we're looking at a 90% probability of profit here. Okay, 90% that this one will expire worthless and out of the money. So that's why we did it again. Again, not we went directional because our chart pattern or our chart told us that going directional was worth the risk there to go directional rather than assuming that it was going to stay neutral, right? So looks really solid. Really like that position. So now let's go into the SPY, which is all the way down here. We don't have the chart pattern yet. We're close. We are really close. So we could certainly see a little bit more upside. But I'll put a 340 call on. All right, so and this is why, right? So 340. We would have to get to all-time highs in the middle of a pandemic. 40 million unemployed. Riots. We would have to get to all-time highs by September in order for this position to be challenged. I just don't think, right? I just don't think that it's a reality. I just don't think that it's something that we can, theoretically assume is going to happen here. And so that's why we went ahead and put this on. The beauty of this fractal energy scan, though, is so prevalent here, right? So if you just go all the times that it begins to get above that fractal energy scan or even close to it, we see here, huge move. Here, huge move, right? Here, huge move. And so we see this, and that's one of the reasons why the fractal energy scan is just so good. Just so good. Well, let's go into looking at what the week is going to look like for us, okay? So when we think about the week, I kind of mentioned that we just now all of the different things as to why, continuing to stay bullish is tough, is tough. But I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind, right, is that the market can stay irrational for far longer than shorts can, right? So let's go into SPY here. So let's take a look at exactly what's going on with SPY. Okay, so when we're looking at SPY, let's just go from really the coronavirus crisis. So we're seeing just a massive move here, right? From a low of, 218.26 to now a high of 306.84. And then after hours in the SPY, if I recall right, I think that we challenged this a little bit. 306. Okay, so we're at 306.1. For really just quite a crazy move. But when we look at this, we're continuing to see really strong price action, right? We're continuing to see really just a bullish trend where now we closed above our 50 simple moving average. We are above our exponential 9. We are above our 200 simple moving average for the weekly. And so all of these tell us that we're bullish. Now, one of the things that I think is worth noting is that all of the geopolitical realities tell us that we should not be making this move. But I want to show something that I think is really important. So these are all of our ETF weekly inflows and outflows. Okay, it's on ETF.com. You can totally see it. Published just the other day, right? So week ending May the 28th. Inflows are pretty significant. On net, 6.7 billion of new money entered the US ETFs during the week, right? But when we go down here, I want to show a couple of really important things. So redemption. So what is moving out? You'll see here, this is $2.6 billion, okay? $2.6 billion went out of the SPY. So now you're thinking, well, what in the world? SPY on the week was up, right? So SPY had a pretty significant range from 294 and a pretty big green candle, but you're telling me, right, that ETFs were out, right? So what does this tell us? This tells us that this is likely a short squeeze, right? And that we see shorts covering, which means at some point, and this is what's likely to happen, right? So let's go back. What's likely to happen here is that we do this number. We go up before we go back down, right? I think that we still have some momentum left on here because we're seeing such strong outflows and a strong market, right? And so you go in the Qs, $0.986 billion left, 0.5, so $500 million left here. And so I think that it's worth us paying attention to this as we kind of navigate what the reality is as we kind of move forward. So I think it's always important to take a look at what the inflows and outflows are. We're seeing outflows of a pretty significant nature out of our primary ETFs. Okay, so with that in mind, what do we think is going to happen this week? We're above all of our moving averages now. We're continuing to move up. I'm going to be watching this 307 level for continuation, right? For continuation into this 320 level. Okay, so, I'm mixed because on the one hand we do see our fractal energy telling us, hey, this move is probably a little overdone, but on the other hand our outflows are somewhat indicative to me of not necessarily seeing a major retraction right here. I think that outflow is an important concept for us to understand why the market would go up when we have negative outflows, right? I think that's a really important distinction for us to make sure that we understand. All right. As I look at some of the other major things, let's just start here. We're seeing our price ratio, after being so high, really kind of break down here between gold. We go here, we're increasing our price ratio between this and our bonds. Price ratio between EEM continuing, which is fascinating, continuing the highest level at 8.06. All the way back 15 years on the weekly chart, so 15-year high right here. Pretty crazy, and just worth noting the relationship between EEM. On our weekly, again, we just crashing through all of these simple moving averages on the weekly, over the 200, over the 100, and over the 50. So worth noting. Let's see what happens here if we get back into this area. Okay, so kind of going into this week, I'm going to really be watching kind of what happens at this to see if the market has any more oomph in it. I don't know that it will. I don't know that it won't. I think that we have to continue to watch what's happened geopolitically. I think it's incredibly important for us to really understand that. Going into the week, I need to continue to add positions for August expiration as well as September expiration. June has kind of made it a little difficult for me because I put these on during the crisis, right, or during the initial market reaction, and so I've still got more June on than I typically like to have on this late in the game. If we go to some of the positions, right, I have these positions that I've had to adjust a lot, and I'm just really waiting as we get closer and closer to expiration. And so while I need to be putting on some of these trades, it's certainly a reality that I'm going to be a little bit closer to expiration in August and September than I typically like to be for initial positions. Okay, now, let's just say we go back to the SPY. So we wait for the grid. So we're still 110 days out, right? So August is a little, it's a little less. I usually like to have the monthly positions built no later than 90 days. Didn't necessarily get that. I like between 90 and 100 days. No, 90 and 120 days. We're not yet ready to even begin thinking about October. As soon as June expiration ends, that's when we're beginning to have conversations about October. But right now, we're just not ready to begin the process of even thinking about October expiration. Okay, so really continuing to look as we have capital open up or good trades. We're still looking to build out August and September, really trying to leverage what we have there. Okay, well, that's really kind of what we're looking at going into the week. As shown on our IV percentile graph, we don't have great IV percentile anywhere, but we're looking for increased IV percentile in places. I'm pretty happy with the way that the portfolio has responded throughout the entire coronavirus crisis. I'm getting a little squeezed on the bull side on some of these June positions, but I've only had to adjust one for August and September so far, XHB, which we've talked a little bit about already today, just because of how bullish XHB really was. This is where we're at. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at Ryan, RYAN, at sellthatoption.com, or, feel free to hit me up on any social media platform. I look forward to a non-shortened week this week as we can continue to heavily add a position a day on average, take profitable positions off, and then continue to grow this portfolio. All right, so this is what we're doing. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, have a happy day.